Yo, appreciate your time and just know that I'm SK Crypto K, and today you should join my crypto club. Maybe by the end earn some dividends, so in advance I'ma thank you right now for that sub. Hey! Yo, let's go.
Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is SK Crypto K, and today we sit down for an interview with Lance Parker, the CEO and founder of BankX.io and Lockbox.io. I will apologize in advance because there are some static issues that I'm encountering with my microphone, in addition to technical difficulties to where I was not able to broadcast this live on YouTube as intended. So this recording here happened in my Telegram channel as I interviewed Lance, who is a four-time technology company founder and multiple patent holder with more than 2 decades in technology, including selling large enterprise software applications. So without further ado, please enjoy this interview as we go through what is BankX.
It's the first stablecoin that pays you interest for minting a stablecoin. So instead of the banking system, generating or creating currency, taking your money and lending it out, and them earning the interest, you become the counterparty in every aspect of what you normally would have with your relationship with the legacy banking system. So that's the general concept with BankX.
Got you. And when it comes to BankX itself, what are you doing differently versus some of everything else that's happened out there with Terra Luna, UST, even Elephant Token? I mean, what are you setting your apart with? What are you basing your success for the model off of?
Yeah, so there are things with Terra Luna. Obviously, the collapse of it proved that you need to have collateral. But one of their price stabilization techniques does work. It's just you can't rely on that. You can't rely on market forces to be solely for a stablecoin, because there has to be collateral. So we are much more like Frax.finance, which is this idea of a mix between some of the algorithmic sort of capabilities to maintain the price, but with 100% collateral. So that is sort of the main distinction, because a lot of people think when they hear, oh, there's some algorithmic functions in BankX, meaning that there's software rules and market forces that help to maintain the peg. They think we're like Terra Luna, but it's actually we're more like Frax. And so when you look deeper at the successes of Frax, they've done very well at maintaining the peg. They even with the collapse of Terra Luna and the fall in this bear market that we're in with cryptocurrency, there was an interview on the Defiant with the founder of Frax, and he talked about some internal analysis that they did, where at the present, and this is a quote, I'm just paraphrasing his quote, that he said that it was mathematically impossible at their present collateral ratios for their stablecoin to lose its peg or for there to be a bank run. So I think that, from his perspective, he felt very confident about the system. So the main inspiration for BankX is Frax and just some of the concepts that they've proven in the market. A little bit of Terra Luna, just one pricing stabilization mechanism. And the Hex protocol and what they've proven, where you can inflate a token supply to pay rewards for staking. And in that process, you create a net deflationary token. So this idea with Hex, whether you like the protocol or not, or like Richard Hart or not, he has proven that when you inflate the currency 3.69%, you can create a yearly staking rate of 9.8%. So the inflation actually creates a net deflationary environment for the token, which can cause price appreciation. Ooh. So the main thing that we bring that's different is we looked at all the things that help to maintain a peg. What are the sort of state of the art capabilities or techniques used in a stablecoin that we know work? being a collateral-backed stablecoin, and then applied some of those economic principles from HEX into the stablecoin. And that's how we pay interest for minting the stablecoin and keep it in circulation. So to mint our stablecoin, you need two pieces of collateral. So let's say we're on Pulsechain, you would need PLS and the BankEx token. 100% of that value in some sort of fractional amount posted by the system. So an example would be, say, 80% PLS and 20% BankEx would mint 100% of the XSD stablecoin. And what we learned from HEX in being able to inflate the currency to pay interest to stake that same token, HEX, since you are using a percentage of BankEx tokens to mint the stablecoin, you're effectively staking it when you put the PLS and the BankEx token on the blockchain to mint the XSD stablecoin. So we inflate the currency, much like the economic principles that have been proven by HEX, into the stablecoin. And so now you have the collateral, you're in complete control, you're earning interest the entire time the stablecoin you minted is in circulation. And this also will create designed to create a net deflationary effect on the BankEx token.
Oh, wow.
So those are the things we sort of drew from the market and differences of what we're doing.
I got you. And I know a little bit about Frax. So you say you're going to borrow some of their elements. Are you then, when you mint, let's say, the BankEx stable coin, you are now getting a native token. You call it XX, what'd you call it? XDC?
Yeah, XSD. So that's
XSD.
the BankEx silver dollar is what we call it. So XSD is the stable coin.
Got you. And then all of those funds that go into making the stable coin, are you then allocating some of it like a bank would, and you are in the background investing it elsewhere to profit and bring those back to pay the interest? Or
so SK, we don't do anything with the collateral. It is locked on the blockchain in a separate pool that backs the stablecoin. So we don't do things like Celsius where we take deposits and go try to generate yield to pay interest. It is solely there on the blockchain backing the stablecoin, where you are in complete control of retrieving that collateral at any time. And you do that by paying back the XSD you originally minted into the system, and then the blockchain software will send you back the collateral to your wallet. So no one has control of that collateral pool that's backing the stablecoin. So that's a key distinction where you have these other protocols, even all the way to Tether, SK, right? Because they have all these dollars in a bank that they're managing to go to lend out or whatever Tether is doing. And is there really enough USD backing each tether, right? So we completely decentralize the collateral pool. There's no one that has access to it except for you to retrieve it when you pay back the XSD stablecoin. So we pay the interest in a fashion very similar to HEX through inflating the currency, because when you mint, you're actually locking up some of the BankEx token to mint the stablecoin. So that is a staking event, much like when you stake in a certificate of deposit. So the net effect of staking in the BankEx certificate of deposit or minting the BankEx stablecoin is this net deflationary effects that's been proven by HEX.
I see. And when you say also staking, is there time locks on these stakings? You get to choose how long you would like to stake it and then adjust the interest you're getting back?
In the CD there is, but the stable coin is completely free. So you could mint it and then at any time come back and pay back the XSC stablecoin into the system and retrieve your collateral on any interest you own. I think it's interesting, SK, to look at some of the problems that I think I see in the stablecoin environment, right? Like Tether is very centralized. We sort of touched on that, right? Where they could be shut down You have a company in control of the collateral, and what are they doing with that? And then they're making money on your money, right? And there could be liquidation of your collateral in protocols like MakerDAO or like liquid loans on Pulsechain. Certainly, a stablecoin can lose its peg, and then we track the price of 1 gram of silver because we think that's going to be a much better inflationary hedge over time, where most stablecoins are USD backed. So those are the sort of the key issues that I see with other stablecoins in the market, and we are the answer to those sort of problems that we see with other stablecoins.
Okay, no, very exciting stuff. And it sounds like you're doing something completely unique and borrowing from some of the best aspects of not only Hex, but the very successful Frax. I think I read somewhere that there's even some of the best aspects of Olympus DAO and the treasury model at play too. Anything you can enlighten us there?
Yeah. So that's another aspect that we're innovating in the stablecoin market. Because one of the things we were concerned about is the community worried about rug pulls and will they always be able to trade in and out of XSD and the BankEx token. So we looked at the success of the protocol owned liquidity system of Olympus DAO. So BankEx, the protocol controls the 2 liquidity pools. So for XSD and PLS, as an example, so the native blockchain token of wherever we're deployed, and then the BankEx token versus the native blockchain token. So we offer incentives to sell to that liquidity pool, and it's controlled by the protocol. No one can have access to those liquidity pools within the BankEx system. So to bring some innovation, instead of just saying, hey, we're like Olympus DAO, is so we have this inflation going on to reward behavior that we want, like staking staking in the CD or minting the stablecoin or selling into the liquidity pool. There's various incentives where we inflate the BankEx token. There could be a point where the inflation of the system gets into an inflationary environment, meaning the staking rate is, or the inflation rate is equal to or a little greater than the staking rate. So what we do in that case is the liquidity pools almost act like a central bank of a country, where it will burn a percentage of the newly sold BankEx tokens in the liquidity pool after the seller has captured the value. So it becomes this way of, instead of like a central bank, it's printing fiat all the time. Our liquidity pool is meant to strive to have a state we call AND, always net deflationary. So we incentivize all this staking, and then if the system does get into an inflationary environment, then it will begin to remove those permanently through burning them after they're sold into the BankEx liquidity pool.
Okay.
So wow. That's called SK. That's called the integrated protocol owned liquidity system, and so that's another innovation that we have with BankEx.
No, very exciting stuff. And also, I understand that you're going to be hosting liquidity on 3 different chains, is it? So Ethereum, BSC, and then now Pulse. You have a SAC phase for that at the moment. Are they all shared in one way or another? Is there any concerns of one blockchain performing not as well as the others, and then, or is it all pooling together in one location?
So those are all going to be separate deployments. So we want to be in we choose in sort of the top 5 EVM compatible chains for this SK. So they will be separate deployments. They'll have their own separate liquidity pools. And so I think the future is multi-chain. And for a stablecoin, we have to be on all the chains that matter. I think it also gives a further decentralization. What if something happens to the Ethereum chain as it moves to ETH2, as an example? I don't think it will be a problem, but you just never know what's happening. And then I think another perspective of that is each chain has its disadvantages and advantages. Like there's a lot of whales on ETH. It's the first one. It's what everybody knows about. And then there's other ones that are faster, cheaper, more scalable, and sort of things like that. Others are focusing on NFTs. And so we want to be there from a decentralization perspective, but then also the different use cases that various chains may have. So I believe the future is multi-chain, and we have to, be on the ones that matter. So our wallet and network solution is going to address the blockchain interoperability issue with that, and so that's something on the roadmap down the way with it. But first, we're looking towards a launch in September and focused on that right now. We go into economic audit on July 4th here shortly in a few days with Coin Fabric, and that's going to be a 7-week audit. So we feel good about the timeline and those sorts of things. We did have, as you mentioned, we did have a ETH BSC sacrifice phase, and we had planned to actually launch sooner, but we ran into quite a bit of demand for booking a smart contract security audit. So this was the soonest that we could get this. So we just sort of dealt this timeline with the contract audit. So that puts us at a September launch.
I gotcha. Yeah, because I know I've heard about BankEx, well into last year, and never had a chance to really deep dive myself into it, but several in my community, such as Fatty and Pops, they've been mentioning it to me, so it is a pleasure to have you here.
I know them.
Yep.
I know them.
And they're fantastic. So for any of the new people who may have missed the sacrifice phase on Ethereum and Binance, now is their chance, correct, for the Pulse sacrifice? Can you go into a little detail on how that sacrifice is going to work, what multipliers are there, anything you can share?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So we're in a pre-sacrifice phase now where it's a 5.25x volume bonus until Thursday, June 30th at midnight Pacific. So each, by sacrificing cryptocurrency, as you know, it's a political statement and you earn X points. X points are a penny each with the volume bonus. So there's a volume bonus, then we have a leaderboard bonus. So the top wallet at the end will get a 2.5x volume bonus added to that, and then down to the bottom wallet of a 1x volume bonus. And then we have a referral bonus where once you connect your wallet, you get a unique referral link, and anyone that clicks on your link and sacrifices, you get a 10% boost in your X points, and then each 5 referrals, you get another 10% boost. And then for clicking on someone's link, you get a 10% boost in X points. And since there's a lot of sort of sacrifice phases going on, we introduced a new bonus called the time machine bonus. So if you, in a single sacrifice in blocks of 25,000 in USD value, for each 25,000, you move back 1 week in the volume bonus. So let's say you're at the 4x volume bonus week, because each week we decrease the volume bonus by 0.25. So if we're in the 4x volume bonus week and you sacrifice, say, 100,000, that moves you back 4 weeks or adds 1x volume bonus. So you would move from the 4x volume bonus week to the 5x volume bonus week. So starting Thursday, each week it'll drop down 0.25. So that's the time machine bonus. We're doing that a new type of bonus to sacrifice phases, and that's to encourage large sacrificers and Telegram groups to potentially pool their sacrifice to do it in one sacrifice. So that's basically and that's going to run us SDK. That's going to run us to October 13th, which will be just past our launch in September, and then as soon as Pulse is out, we'll release on that chain too.
Okay, very cool. And I don't think the timeline's anything to be ashamed of either. Like, you're taking the important step for the audit, and also just watching the market, how it goes. And if anything, this just gives you more opportunity to teach people about this platform. That way, when it does launch, you've got several people waiting to ape in too if they missed the sac phases. How are you staggering the launches? So let's say, are you launching on Binance first?
So we're depending on what's going on with ETH2, we'll do Ethereum or Binance. Right now we have it in our roadmap to first be on Ethereum, and then say 1 to 3 months, depending on what's happening, we would release on the next chain, and then depending on what's happening with Pulsechain, we would go then too. The others that we would release on are Avalanche and Phantom, but those would be the last two that we would do. We would concentrate on those three I just mentioned first, and it could be as little as a month between each one, or we might go a little longer in between the time of launching on each chain.
Okay, no, very cool. I have a couple more questions, but if there's anyone here right now in the Telegram chat who would like to just jump in right now, feel free, unmute yourself. I've unmuted a number of you, or raise your hand if you're still muted. And feel free to jump in. Otherwise, I'll continue. Any questions at all with what you've heard so far?
I see some people. I recognize a few people in the chat there. So yeah, some people also been asking for the Trust Wallet and the Sacrifice app. So we're testing that now, and so we'll support MetaMask and Trust Wallet. So for the Sacrifice phase, you have to use the SAC app. We have completely automated everything. Just to make that point, I left out.
Cool. Hey, Cookies, I saw that you unmuted.
Hey, Lance. Yeah, hey, what's up, SK? Hey, I'm just really enjoying listening to this right now. And I got a YouTube channel as well, so just so you guys know, you can find me on YouTube. I wanted to ask if you could kind of talk about a little more about how you took some of the good aspects of Hex and some of the other aspects with Olympus DAO. Like, what are the good things that you've taken from Olympus DAO, for example? Because I know in this market, things have kind of gone down, and there are some people in that group who kind of bought high, and now the token value is low. So I'm just curious how, like, what are some of the good things you've taken from these other protocols?
Yeah, so I think mostly, Cookies, it's about Frax, and I think they're mostly what our system was inspired by, and sort of taking some of the other things that were proven. We added another, so we have 4 pricing stabilization techniques in the stablecoin system, and one of those is inspired by Terra Luna, where it actually works. It's just there's other flaws in the Terra Luna system. So the ability to burn one token, because we are a dual token stablecoin, right? We have a utility token BankEx, and we have the XST stablecoin. So the ability to burn one of those tokens to mint the other as a price stabilization technique actually worked pretty well for Terra Luna. It's just that they have other issues as far as not having collateral and some other things that they were trying to fix before they collapsed. And so an example of that is, like, let's say the XST stablecoin is above the peg. You would be able to burn the BankEx token for the XSD stablecoin at the price it should be, and then you could sell it in the open market because people are paying more than what you basically exchanged it for within the system. So that helps to bring the price back down. So that was inspired by the price stabilization technique from Terra Luna, which we basically brought it into the Frax system. So the other inspiration through Hex, which I touched on in the beginning, was what Richard Hart proved with Hex is that I know the token's down and all of that, but it doesn't mean that when you create a net deflationary environment that the token just always goes up. I think there has to be some sell pressure and sort of the natural cycles of a price going up and down. But the idea is that it's designed to have a net deflationary effect. So what Hex showed us and what Hex proved to us in the market is that by inflating the currency by 3.69%, inflating the Hex token, and using that entire amount to pay rewards to stake the HEX token, you actually get a higher staking rate than the inflation rate. So he has a 9.8% yearly staking rate in the HEX token, and he's inflating 3.69%. So we have that same sort of inspired by HEX certificate of deposit as a part of the BankEx system, because we wanted that in to offer all of the services that a legacy bank would have, and then it creates a net deflationary effect just by people doing that, right? And so if you think of that concept of I'm locking up the BankEx token and I'm earning more BankEx tokens, and the entire token supply or the tokenomics of that is net deflationary, as we've seen with HEX. If we take that to the stablecoin, because this actually came to me on a long walk one day, I was like, well, if HEX is doing that and Frax requires not only their native blockchain token, but or their utility token and then the native blockchain token, then you have a staking event to create the stablecoin. So I thought, well, we should be able to inflate that. And so we had a full economic audit by Dr. Stalianos Kampakis to really analyze this, and the findings of that were positive, and that his opinion was that this would all work because it's basically taking the same context of HEX and using that in the stablecoin. What's interesting about Frax and what we've brought over to BankEx is there is no liquidation of your collateral. So when you lock up, in this example, say PLS on Pulsechain and the BankEx token, we don't liquidate your position in the stablecoin or your color. We don't liquidate your collateral if the price drops below one level. What Frax does is they will inflate their utility token to pay rewards to add collateral to the pool. So instead of liquidating, they inflate the currency for rewards so that the collateral pool gets to a point where it has enough collateral to back the stablecoin fully if the price of the if the price of the underlying collateral should drop. So it poses this interesting concept of looping without liquidation. So we've seen looping and kind of like what they did with MIM and people basically minting the stablecoin to buy the collateral and then using that collateral to mint more stablecoin, and then sort of going through this looping process to increase your position, say in a particular token. So what you can do with BankEx, since there is no liquidation, is you can use collateral to mint the stablecoin that's earning this interest, and now you can take the stablecoin to go buy more collateral, and then use that collateral to mint more stablecoin to add more interest to what you would be earning. So this is unique to BankEx and what we're doing. Because we've been inspired by proven techniques and sort of using them in different ways to bring something new to the market. So I think that should pretty well cover, Cookies, what we've, what the good aspects. So I'm happy to go through some of the bad stuff, but I think we know what those are. I've sort of touched on those on other interviews and AMAs and things, especially around the Terra Luna collapse. I think we learned, that the price stabilization will work. It just can't be relied upon fully. And a stablecoin needs to have collateral. There's just, I don't see a fully algorithmic stablecoin where it's all market forces, all software rules, and that's the only thing you rely on. I think people want to know that if something goes wrong, there's some value locked up somewhere that they can always go and swap back that collateral for the stablecoin they've issued. I just think that's a fundamental thing that we used to have in the fiat world until the 70s. And I think it needs to be in cryptocurrency. So even though we track the price of 1 gram of silver, we're not putting silver in a vault. It's not a future. It's not an option. It's other cryptocurrency as the collateral, but the value of the XSD stablecoin is pegged to the price of 1 gram of silver, because we don't. I think the way they're printing the dollar, I think we're in a good position for when that catches up with the US dollar, that we're not pegged to that. And so that's something unique. It's not a technological thing. It's more of just looking at what's happening. And I think also Frax realizes this because they just released another stablecoin that's tied to the inflation rate. So my thought is like, well, why would you even do that? Why would you just get off of the dollar and tie it to a metal? And we chose silver just because it's more supply, and I think it's going to be more stable sort of peg to do our stablecoin in. So that was the thought process behind that cookie. So I hope that helps with.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that was a great response. A lot of information there. I appreciate it. Regarding the value that you said is kind of locked somewhere, like what kind of security measures you got in place regarding, like, I know something, even Richard Hart talks about is like no admin keys and just as we've seen with other, protocols, like, for example, what happened with, the Elephant Treasury, how can we kind of be resistant to, things like flash loans and different attack vectors so that this thing actually, can hold up in a, wild market.
So flash loan attacks is something specifically we have countered in the code. And that's something that will be shown in the audit. So that's been taken care of. And then I think we've got a lot of the known attack vectors in that people would try to attack our contracts. As far as where the collateral is, that's sitting in the blockchain software in the smart contract, which is controlled only by the system, not by me or anyone. When we looked at the Frax code, even though the admin keys are there, the admin has sort of very limited capabilities. Like I can add to a pool of addresses that would link the system. I can set the oracle, pricing oracles, and there's some other things like that. But as far as being able to do anything else, it's pretty limited. And then beyond that, when we feel we've got the system in a place where I'm no longer needed to, say, add something or add another contract to the whole system, we do have a renounce event or a burning of the admin keys, because I want it to be a point where we know it's everything that the market wants, and then no one can stop it. So no one could ever come to me and say, let me see your keys. I want to be able to change. There would never be that ability within the BankEx system. So we've thought through this whole idea of being fully decentralized. So as we get deployed, we decentralize the front end. So sort of all the way through the system, the collateral, the front end, the admin keys, everything about what we're doing at BankEx is so that it has a life of its own, that where no one can affect it. And it's just you interacting with this blockchain software to mint a stablecoin where you're earning the interest. You're doing everything that you normally would have to walk into a bank branch to do. And you're able to do this all with autonomy and complete control and freedom. And so it's very different from what they're trying to do with central bank digital currency. So we've been very careful to think sort of all the way through those aspects, Cookies, on what we want to ultimately bring with BankEx.
Awesome. Thanks for covering that. And as far as like anyone else that I think Richard had talked about launching his own stablecoin too, but on the Pulsechain. So you guys already are, just so I understand, I'm just learning about BankEx, and you guys are already on Binance Smart Chain and Ethereum, and now you're launching on Pulsechain. How does that work as you kind of bridge all?
So our launch is in September, and it'll be on ETH, and then shortly after that, Binance. We could flop those depending on what's going on with ETH too. So we start our smart contract audit with Coin Fabric, which also audited Hex. that starts July 4th for 7 weeks. So that puts us sort of end of August, and then we will, targeting launching in September from that point.
Awesome. So, and if there's any delays with the Pulsechain, you'll just kind of launch whenever that launches.
Right. So, if there's a hiccup with ETH2, then we'll just launch on Binance first. But if there's not, we'll launch on ETH2, and then what's happening with Pulse, sort of waiting to see what's going on there. And then we would launch there. So it'll be a separate deployment. So, if they fork off of ETH, and then there's something happens where there's already a deployment of BankEx on Pulse, we would do a fresh deploy, because the token supply numbers will be different and things like that. So we want to make sure that those are different deployments.
Awesome. Will there be any chance to experiment with the user interface or be on a testnet at all? Or because I know Liquid Loans doesn't have anything on testnet yet, and I think only a couple projects do, but just something to see if you guys were planning on something like that.
Yeah, it's on testnet now. We just haven't released it because we want to have the audit done before we start showing code. And the other thing is we'd like to be the first ones to release our code, right? So they have the potential of, we have a year and 3 months of R&D into this. So when we launch, we want to be ahead of any potential cloners of this. That's the other reason for a multi-chain launch too, because Wonderland sort of mimicked or cloned Olympus and sort of captured all that economic energy. So we want BankEx on where people are like, oh well, it's already deployed on this chain, so no reason to clone it. You have to make something better. If there is something better in the stablecoin market, I don't know. I've put a lot of thought in this and a lot of research. Spend 3 hours a day or so just looking at other protocols and studying what's working for them, and then deciding which road do we want to take as far as building what BankEx would have been. So it's been a grind. I mean, as you may know, this is not easy stuff to do, and so we want to be the ones that release our code on all the chains that matter, instead of someone just coming and cloning it and calling it BankXX and having something else on some other chain somewhere. So, but I think a stablecoin needs to be multi-chain. So that's generally the thought process on that, Cookies.
Yeah, that makes total sense. With different projects kind of just copying so much of the code that you guys kind of want to hold on to. Pretty much you don't want to lose any potential economic energy from your unique, what you have going on that's unique with BankEx.
Yeah, and I want to have it, I want to have the audit done too before we say this is our code, because I think that's another.
That's important.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Well, yeah, thank you for going into some of those questions. I really appreciate it. I got a lot out of it, and I'm more excited about this. So.
Yeah, 100% Cookies. Thank you, man. Great questions, bro, and fantastic YouTube channel, Mr. Cookies and Crypto.
Cookies and Crypto. I'll have to look that up. Yeah, if you ever want to, have a discussion on your channel, let me know, Cookies.
Yeah,
Yeah, we can set something up. Let's do it.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, I'm at Lance Parker on Telegram.
All right, I'll put it in there, and we can set something up for sure.
All right, sounds good.
Thank you.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay. Any other follow-up questions from anyone else listening right now? If not, okay, no.
Cookies covered it all.
Yeah, he really did. It was fantastic. And I learned a hell of a lot from it too.
For everybody there.
Yeah, because I think, your example is really smart with how Wonderland stole a lot of Olympus Dallas thunder on the Avalanche chain. And by you doing a multi-chain thing, that's really clever. Really clever.
Yeah, I think it needs to be there anyway. And it's not just a defensive strategy; it is a decentralization strategy. There's different use cases on these chains that I think will need a stable coin. So I think all around, I've always thought I never thought it would be, hey, it's only Ethereum and that's it. I think there's going to be chains for different purposes, and we're going to have kind of that whole environment as we replace the legacy system, the legacy banking system.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then Lance, I'm just thinking of one more question I had. Sorry to interrupt if you're.
No, you're good. You're good.
But, sweet. Yeah. So as far as keeping the code kind of like proprietary to you guys, like nobody after you guys launch, are you like completely open source, or is there a way that like you're open to view but you're not licensed to copy the code type of
well
like clause or something in there? Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, when we release on the blockchain, it's sort of there for everyone, right? Everyone can see it. We'll have it on our GitHub, and it'll just sort of be there. I think there's the one aspect of building the product, and then there's the other aspect of building the community. So that's why I'm doing all of this, because I want people to use what we've built. And so I think those two things really make a project. And even though people could come and sort of copy the code, if we've got a great community behind it, it's really hard to pull those people away just to have the same thing in another website, so to speak. Like, why would I go leave BankEx and all the community that we built and then go to another website with the same software? So I think that's I think that's sort of the strategy. It's product and community, and then we'll be fine. I'm not worried about clones after that point, but I do want to have us on the chains and make sure that we're the first to release our own code. I think that's the general sort of thought, right?
Yeah, no, it makes total sense. Now, regarding like a community, do you guys already have a community, or are we looking to kind of like build a new community around BankEx, just so that how's it going to work with like marketing, just to get the word out there so that people can maybe even recognize it, especially on Pulsechain, because people are going to want stablecoin options, and I know USDL is going to be one, and then we have it's you're gonna have to remind me what the ticker symbol is, but the BankX token as well.
BankX, yeah, XSD and BankX, yeah. So Pulsechain, I think, has a unique opportunity where we could be a great stable coin there and be I think one of the top ones or top one. Sort of looking at liquid loans and sort of liquidity on ETH, the clone that they've done with that, right? So they face liquidation. We don't. We pay you 5% interest or more. You pay 0% there. You pay fees with them. You don't pay fees with us. And then, we're pegged to sort of 1 gram of silver, and that most other stable coins are USD backed. So those, I think, are the major difference. And I think just sort of any logical person is going to look at, what does BankEx do? And, oh yeah, I'm in a better position just by the nature that I'm earning interest and I don't face liquidation. Like, those are two very big things that I just think naturally when people hear about BankEx, they'll move over or start off with us really on any chain. So we do have a community. You can get all of our socials and things from the website, www.bankx.io. Most of our activity is on Telegram, the channel @BankX.io. And then, so we're looking to, go into other communities, tell them what we're doing at BankX, because BankX is not hey, use this or somebody else's. Like, if you stake cryptocurrency or it's sitting idle in your wallet, you could still do the BankX process to mint stablecoin, because you could always take the stablecoin and buy the collateral that you originally had and then go do whatever you'd like with from there. So I think it's a great addition. We don't need to technically take away from something that you may have been doing. So I think there's a continue the marketing and community building for BankEx as we approach the launch in September. I do think there's also this protocol to protocol relationships where certain blockchain systems have treasury that I think they'd be great candidates to want to mint our stablecoin, and instead of just letting it sit in the treasury, they could be earning interest in our system. And then I think there's a large B2B play or working with other businesses that are starting to keep crypto as their treasury. So instead of that sitting idle, right, just much like I'm saying to you as an individual, why let your crypto sit there idle? Or you could do BankX and then go, do something after you loop or after you mint the stablecoin. It would be the same thing for businesses like MicroStrategy, who has tons of crypto, and I don't know how much ETH he has. I'm sure he has some or so, where he could mint the stable coin, add to his treasury by earning interest to do that. And then he has a stable coin to go operate the business with. So I think those are sort of some of the major things that we could do to continue to build the total value locked of the BankEx stable coin.
No, very good. And as far as marketing, how do you, in the future years of BankEx, how do you transcend these usual Telegram crypto circles? Like, do you have partnerships in mind, like with the protocol to protocol thing you just mentioned? Like, what do you have in mind besides the wallet, which is on your roadmap?
Yeah, so I think those are major things to be able to sort of extend out and add more people into crypto. So I think there is what we already talked about, protocol to protocol, which I think will build us in the cryptocurrency community, and then getting businesses to get into crypto, and then using the BankEx system. But I also think there's, the wallet, as you mentioned, is a part of the ecosystem, but I think there's a list of decentralized applications that could be used to drive demand for the stablecoin. So examples of that could be, trade between countries, where you could use the blockchain as the middleman and remove all the time and cost in that, and then exclusively use the XSD stablecoin as the medium of exchange for that. There's, I think, that B2B example where they have corporate treasury. We could have a sort of that decentralized app that helps them go through that process, and a payment system for businesses. So I think there's, when you lay out the chessboard on how you get a stable coin to sort of take over, I think it has to be in sort of all of those areas to be able to continue to drive demand for a stable coin. So I think that's philosophically how I'd look at that, and sort of respond to how do you transcend out of Telegram as a project, and I think that's the answer.
I agree. Okay, no, very good. And Cookies, did you have another question, or anybody else? We're approaching the 1 hour mark, so want to be mindful of everybody's time, especially Lance's. But yeah, any final questions? Anybody here?
I think Lance pretty much answered and covered all my questions. I just want to see. My last one was just kind of how we're going to get the word out about BankEx, so that just like anything in crypto, we need adoption and all that for all this to really work at its highest potential. So thanks for answering all these questions and jumping on here, giving us a chance to understand more about BankEx and what's going on, and the current sacrifice phase that's going on for Pulsechain. So very interesting. And
yeah, great. Yeah, I tried to set up the incentives where when people start to hear about it, we could sort of virally go through the cryptocurrency community, and then once we have, I think, a good amount of TVL, that's when we can start to go. And what is that number? I don't have a number, but I think when we get into the hundreds of millions of TVL, then we could start working with protocols. And I think when I saw Frax really accelerate their TVL was when they started working with other protocols, because I've been following them for a long time. And so I think there's sort of stages to continually to increase the TVL of the system. And so, I think there's stages of what we would do based on, like, we wouldn't want to go to businesses when we're at the launch. I think we want to get some TVL in the system, get trading volume, build up the liquidity pools that is owned by the system, so people have confidence that if I come in with 20 million minting, that I can move in and out of it, so to speak. So I think I think we sort of need to take that at stages. So if we could do well within the cryptocurrency community, that sets us up for the next stage, which would be, sort of step 1B would be protocol to protocol, and then we can start to really go to the other areas we talked about. Well,
all right. I guess if no one else has a question, Lance, that was fantastic, man. I really have to applaud you again. You're highly professional. I've been watching your Telegram community and what you've been doing on other AMAs, and the way you carry yourself in this project, I think you have a bright future. I look forward to it now, definitely. I'm going to get into the SAC Pulse.
Thank you.
Yeah, but you've been great. If there's any closing words, or if anyone has anything before you go. Oh, Carla. Hey, Carla. Go ahead.
Hey. So my question was, I know that you had mentioned you want to launch on 5 chains, and 3 of them, the sacrifice is either completed or is happening now. So what are the other 2 chains, and will you be having opening up a sacrifice period for those before September?
So we did an ETH BSC dual sacrifice phase, and now we're doing Pulsechain, and that's going to sort of fill in the time gap until our launch in September. The other 2 chains we will just launch on. There will be no sacrifice phase on those, but those would be done after we launch on ETH BSC and then what's happening with Pulse. But if Pulse takes a little longer, then maybe we would deploy on Avalanche or Phantom. So the other 2 are Avalanche and Phantom. Those are our top 5 we're targeting now.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Sure. Thank you, Carla.
Cool. Okay. I guess that's it, unless, Lance, you have any parting words.
Nope, that's it. I think Johnny's hosting a community giveaway that right after this. So at BankEx.io Telegram channel, if anybody would like to join that, and that's pretty much it. I'll look forward to cookies, and if anybody wants to talk more about BankEx, I'm certainly open. I'm doing the Telegram roadshow or virtual roadshow here with these. So if anybody wants to learn more about it or talk with me about specifically how it works, just reach out to me at Lance Parker on Telegram, and that'll be it. All the other information is on our website, www.bankx.io and we've got tons of information there. We've got a doc section with our economic audit, white papers. There's lots of information on YouTube, depending on how deep you'd like to go into learning about the system. We have short videos, and then we take it all the way up to a master class where I go talk about BankEx for roughly an hour.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I'll post all the pertinent links in the chat here if you guys want to go over to the giveaway on their Telegram. And we'll go with that, guys. I appreciate your time, Lance. Thank you, everyone else.
All right. Thanks very much, everybody.
All right. Goodbye.
Thanks, Lance. Looking forward to talking to you later.
Bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.